Well, this takes me into my talk, which is giving from the heart. Today, we honor and thank all of the Seva volunteers who've decided to give service in 2017. Seva is a Sanskrit word meaning selfless service or work performed without any thought or reward of payment. Although you may get paid, that's a byproduct of doing what you love to do. My experience with Seva started back in 1993. I was at the Glendale Church of Religious Science in California. I'd been there a month and I started volunteering, and they gave me this little thing. And I cherish it because it's when I started my journey into metaphysics. This stays on my altar all the time in my office. It's part of my prayer work. I started volunteering at the soundboard. Actually, I had gone through a tremendous life change where I was going to end my life, I decided. I was going to commit suicide because I had a terrible breakup with a girlfriend. And, you know, when you're 29 and your life is all that, and then it's not. So I called my dad and I told him what I was going to do. And he said, okay, before you do that, I want you to go to your nearest religious science church and get a treatment with a practitioner. I was like, what? You're sending me to God now? What is this? He goes, just do it. Just do it. So I made an appointment for the next day at noon because I was going to prove him wrong, that couldn't work for me, because nothing would work for me. And I went in and I sat down I made an appointment. She met me at the church at noon, at the Glendale Church. She opened a little office that was off the main building. Her name was Janet Bryan Adams, and she was my first practitioner. She was dressed to the tens, a very prominent woman of authority. And she sat down and said, tell me what's on your mind. And I spoke for about 20 minutes about how bad my life was. And she just sat there nodding. And then she says, is there anything else? I was like, isn't that enough? I want to take my life because of this situation with this girl, and my best friend had done all this stuff. And she goes, I can see how that would upset you, but is there anything else? I said, no, that's enough. And she went into a treatment, and I don't know what happened. All I know is that when I came out the other side of that door, I was a different person. She spoke words that transformed my understanding and my belief system in a way that I knew that there was hope, that there was a way through this without having to take my own life. And I called my dad and I said, well, I'm rethinking my decision. And he said, okay, now what I want you to do is go back to that church on Sunday and sign up for every single volunteer position they have. And there's clipboards all along the front desk. And I signed up for serving coffee, working with the youth, serving in the sound department, usher, greeter, everything, right? And I didn't like making coffee. I did not like working with the youth, although it became part of what I did. But the sound department, I knew sound. And I could give of my love of sound by recording it was back when they recorded cassette tapes, right? Dating myself here. So I recorded, and then I would have to make copies after the service and make sure the stickers got on the right, thing, and handed them out to the people that bought them after the service. And then they said, well, you're doing a great job. We're going to start doing some classes and we need the classes recorded for the people that aren't going to be there. Would you be willing to sit in and record the classes? You get the class for free, and you just have to make copies for the students that aren't there. I said, sure, I want to know more about this stuff. So I started serving. Well, some months went by, and all of a sudden a year had gone by, and they said, well, you've taken enough classes that you can go into practitioner studies now. I was like, well, what's that? And I just kept going. And what was nice is, back then, the recorder, I had to wear headphones. So all this talk, all this positive stuff was going into my head. I mean, directly into my head. I couldn't hear anything, but, everything's good, everything's right. There is a way. God is love, love is God. And I started to transform. And I knew after about a year and a half that I wanted to be a practitioner. And it took me 3 years to get through the program. And then I heard that they had this thing called the Ernest Holmes College. I was like, there's a college for this stuff? I'm like, what? And they said, well, and that was a time when there was 2 different organizations that I would have to transfer my license to another organization to be able to get into the college. And it's a lot of paperwork and doing of things. And I said, I'm going to do this. And it took me 9 years to get into the college of ministry. But I did it. And what I found was that volunteering was my sacred service. That if you volunteered and did what you love to do, you don't have to get paid for it because you're being paid by the universe in ways. If you are ever looking for a job, start volunteering somewhere and you will get job offers immediately.